On my 26th birthday, my ex-sugar daddy wanted to get back together. The offer? $50,000 a month as spending money, separate from birthday and Valentine's Day gifts, with unrestricted credit card access for travel and shopping. The deal was sweet, but I hesitated. Amy, as usual, was her cranky self, glaring at me. Spit it out. What more do you want? No, it's not like that. I scratched my head and showed her my ring. I'm married. Who the hell is she? Amy asked, gritting her teeth, seething with anger. Tell me, who's the bitch? Isn't this an easy question? I sat up straight, answering honestly, my husband. Amy laughed in anger. Good, good, good. She said it 3 times, but her eyes were icy cold. John, when I left, what did I say to you? I looked confused. What did you say? Amy sneered. Great, very good, John. She looked at me darkly, menace in her eyes. I'm warning you, John, you'd better break it off with her. Don't provoke me, or you know what I can do. With that, Amy stormed off in a rage, leaving me bewildered. What can she do? I took the little cake and slowly headed home. As soon as I walked in, Victoria, who was busy in the kitchen, greeted me. You're back. She took what I was holding, her voice gentle. Dinner's almost ready. Just one more soup to go. Tonight we have your favorite sweet and sour ribs. I mumbled a response and flopped lazily onto the couch. Victoria wiped her hands, turned on the projector, brought me water, changed my shoes, and then went back to the kitchen to continue cooking. I watched TV absent-mindedly, my eyes wandering over to the kitchen. I couldn't help it. It's an open kitchen. The space is open, the view is open, and Victoria, cooking with her top off, was quite the open sight too. Honestly, I almost said yes to Amy. After all, what she's offering now is way better than back in the day. But I held back. Why? 2 reasons. One is Amy. Her temper is just too bad. Her need for control incredibly strong. It bothered me then, and it would bother me now even more. The other reason is Victoria right there. I stared at her in the kitchen, broad shoulders, slim waist, tall. I once said she'd look great with long hair, and she grew it all the way to her waist. Her sleek, long black hair falls beautifully, her lovely body wrapped in a lace-trimmed apron. Victoria looked especially wholesome and extremely appealing. But back to the point. Even if I haven't given her much, can't I enjoy it guilt-free? Anyway, the house we're living in is technically mine, even though I didn't pay a cent for it. But that's not the point. The point is, I already accepted her proposal, and we plan to get our marriage certificate next week. The coconut chicken is ready. The table was already set with cutlery, and Victoria stood at the kitchen door with a casserole in hand, looking virtuous. John, wash up and let's eat. Amy reached out today. At dinner, I picked up a piece of sweet and sour rib, speaking casually. The one I told you about, kind of an ex. Victoria's hand froze midway through picking up food. A moment later, she looked at me, smiled gently without showing her emotions, and said, "He came back from abroad?" I nodded absent-mindedly. Victoria wiped her hands and started peeling shrimp for me. "What did he want with you, John?" "Well, not much." I popped a shrimp into my mouth, briefly recapping the situation. "He offered $50,000 a month to break it off with you and get back with him." Victoria's gaze remained calm as she looked at me. "What's your take, John?" I nodded honestly, pretty tempting. "I respect John's feelings," Victoria said sincerely, sharing her viewpoint. "But having been abroad for so long, staying true to oneself, for someone from that kind of family, is probably tough, right? Think I'm being paranoid?" She looked at me worriedly. "But John, illness is never good. I'm concerned about you." Her words hit me where it hurt. I'm genuinely afraid of illness. The first thing I did after making money was buy myself full insurance coverage. True. I nodded in agreement. We don't want women who don't behave. Victoria's expression softened, serving me a bowl of soup. While it's not good to assume the worst in people, even if she did remain true to herself, that would be problematic too. As a woman, I know women. Over 25 with no experience. She's probably not good for much, not anymore. Is that so? I sipped on my soup, thought for a second, then said, "But whether she's good or not doesn't really matter to me." Across from me, She blinked slowly, putting down her chopsticks, pushing aside her hair to reveal a hickey on her neck. By now, it had faded a lot compared to its morning red and swollen state, the mark pink against Victoria's pale skin. She looked at me, her smile full of affection. But John, my body's what you desire most. I thought Amy would calm down and leave me alone after finding out I'm married. But I overestimated her sense of decency. By the next morning, she was already harassing me. Seeing the unknown number on the screen, I thought it might be a scam call from payday lenders, so I rejected it. But she was relentless, calling again and again. When I still refused to pick up, she texted, "It's me. Pick up." I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. Traffic was bad enough, and now this? Without expression, I finally answered. Amy's voice came through, cold as ice. "John, bring your marriage certificate and wife. 10 a.m. at the Civil Affairs Bureau. See you there." So she's already setting this up? Holding up my phone, I gave a little smile and said gently, "Amy, are you crazy?" "I'm asking if you're crazy." "Not currently," Amy replied in a calm tone that had a hint of madness. "But if I don't see that divorce certificate by 5:30 p.m., I will be." I angrily hung up. I opened the call list, tapped the number, and added it to the block list. Instantly, the world got a whole lot quieter. 3 seconds later, a new unknown number popped up. "Divorce him, John. I'll only say this once. Add another 200 grand to your offer, and you know that's no problem for me. I'm talking about dealing with that jerk. So why did you marry her? John, what does he have that I don't? Why can't you let him go? 5 minutes in, are you on your way yet?" Texts kept coming one after another, driving me nuts. Amy was always a control freak. Gone abroad for treatment all these years, and she's still as crazy as ever. Can't seem to stop. Huh? I let out a cold laugh and quickly typed a message. "Send one more, and I'm kissing my wife." No sooner had I sent it when Amy replied, "John, don't you dare." A few drop dead serious exclamation marks so intense that you could feel his powerless rage through the screen. Leaning back in my chair, I started typing lazily. One message a minute. If you don't want me and my wife's lips glued together, then maybe you should glue your own. The other side finally went quiet. Tossing my phone aside, I opened my computer to start working. Our company was planning a new game, and I was one of the leads since it was my initial idea. So after discussions, the task of writing the project proposal fell to me. By the time I constructed the basic framework, it was nearly noon. Massaging my aching shoulders, I picked up my phone that had been silent all morning. As soon as I turned on the screen, hundreds of messages popped up. Rubbing my chin, I realized my high school group had suddenly come alive after years of silence. Something must be up. Sure enough, once I checked it, Class President. "Hey everyone, sorry to bother. Our classmate Oliver has pancreatic cancer. The treatment costs are sky high, and his family's struggling. They've reached out for help. Donations aren't mandatory, but it would be great if everyone could chip in and show some support." The group chat blew up. Pancreatic cancer is really tough to treat. My uncle didn't make it through. Wow, so sudden. We're all old classmates. Let's help if we can. I scrolled through the chats without responding until someone mentioned me. "John, word is you're involved with Amy. Our old classmate's sick. You should donate more to do a good deed and earn some karma." "Leo and Oliver? You mean the one who, to impress Amy, teamed up with you and those other girls to bully me, put dead rats and snakes in my bag and trapped me in the equipment room, trying to make me eat cigarette butts? He got cancer and karma finally caught up. Isn't this great?" The group chat went dead silent. For a while, a few peacemakers jumped in. "That was ages ago, John. We were all just kids, maybe a bit immature. Don't be so heartless. Yeah, life and death, nothing's really that big of a deal. Can't you just get over it? It's fine if you don't donate, but why be so aggressive?" My brain buzzed, hands trembling slightly. Not from anger, but excitement. God knows how long I've waited for this day. Not leaving the class group after graduation was definitely the right call. With a cold smile, I typed, "So you knew I was being bullied, right? You knew and still decided to just watch?" And silence again. Leo, the first to mention me, finally couldn't resist, sending a long message. Enough, John. How many years has it been? Who doesn't have a reckless, foolish phase? How could you not understand Amy's situation at home? Who dared to cross her? Besides, didn't you end up with Amy? Reckless and foolish, you say. Now I'm interested. Leo, you'd better keep a low profile. I still have those surveillance tapes of you guys bullying me. No one dared to mess with Amy. You think I didn't know? I didn't ask you for help back then, so don't morally guilt-trip me now into donating. I didn't stand up back then because I had no parents and was afraid. But forgiving all that so easily means I deserve to be bullied. As for donations, my hand slipped and I sent a smirk emoji. Burning some paper money might be just right. After sending that, I recorded the group chat, uploaded it to the cloud, and pulled out the lunch Victoria packed for me. Humming a tune, I headed to the break room. While the microwave buzzed, Amy's messages came in again. You lied, John. You're not actually married. Are you hinting you want a title? Dream on. Still humming, I casually sent her the recording too. Amy went silent. Evening came as I twirled my car keys and strolled through the office parking garage. Just after exiting the elevator, I suddenly stopped in my tracks. There, against my car, was a tall figure. Flickering spots of orange light danced in his long fingers, with a pile of cigarette butts on the ground. Frowning, I said, "Why'd you smoke so many?" Amy paused, a mad spark flashing in her eyes. "John, you left all these cigarette butts by my car." Staring at the ashes, irritation flared in me. "Amy, can't you have some decency? What if someone saw and thought I did it? All the blame would be on me. But even worse than littering was something else. And can't you smoke somewhere else? If you want to get lung cancer, that's not my problem, just don't drag me into it." Amy crushed the cigarette between her fingers as if unaware of any pain, eyes fixed on me. "John, marry me." I laughed. "Amy, you really are crazy. I can give you money." Her eyes, cold on the surface, were filled with obsession. "Lots and lots of money, John. Isn't money your favorite thing?" "Sure is." I didn't deny it. "I do love money." "Then marry me." With a demeanor of ice, Amy stared insistently. "I'll give you money, and you stay by my side. Let's just keep things like this. Isn't that good?" I found myself at a loss for words. I chuckled slightly. "Amy." I said her name, my expression cooling off. "You know, I haven't forgotten anything." Of course, Amy knew I hadn't forgotten. She didn't dare to ask, and I wasn't about to say anything. We both silently agreed not to speak about what happened back then. John was never one to dwell on painful memories or self-pity. But Amy was. She was intense and paranoid, with a dark and troubled past that haunted her life long before she turned 18. Then came her 18th year, moving to yet another new school. There she met John, a skinny boy, almost malnourished, hunched over his desk, completely focused on his math problems. His thin fingers left deep marks on the scratch paper. He was silent and quiet, standing out in the noisy classroom. When she sat down next to him, he finally looked up at her. It was just a glance, though. His black and white eyes quickly returned to his paper like her presence didn't matter. She felt something unfamiliar, a longing for something, yet recoiling from it at the same time. She was young and misunderstood these feelings, labeling them as annoyance, a feeling she never bothered to hide. Too many people wanted to please her. Throughout her life, she attracted many followers. Her broadcasted malice quickly prompted a group of girls to act against her, evolving from silent ostracism into outright bullying. Torn textbooks, dead snakes and mice, stained desks and chairs quickly became the norm. People either joined in or chose silence, even when she was locked, soaking wet, in the equipment room overnight during the bitter winter cold. Amy's family could finance 3 buildings for the school. John, however, was an orphan and had no one to worry about. He could be bullied freely. Time moved on, and the boy endured everything silently like a lab rabbit facing immense suffering. Amy watched it all coldly, feeling increasingly restless. Then one day, she saw a couple kissing under a street lamp, and that night, she dreamt of John. He lay quietly in her arms, and she instinctively kissed him. At that moment, she realized that unfamiliar feeling she had was what they call falling in love. But she had never been loved, so she didn't know what liking someone felt like. She mixed it up with annoyance. By the time she understood this, it was too late. John would never, ever forgive her. Fortunately, she had lots of money. The cold numbers in her bank account gave her the courage to stand before him, the boy with nowhere to go after college entrance exams. 10 grand a month, John. Stay by my side. He looked at her steadily. She thought he wouldn't accept, but after a long pause he laughed softly. Sure. For a moment she felt overjoyed. John was still John. His eyes were as cold and indifferent as ever, honestly heartbreaking. He said, "But I'll never love you, Amy. I'll only use you to climb higher. Is that so?" She hid her trembling right hand, put on a proud facade, and sneered. That's even better. She thought back then that this would be okay. She refused to admit that two similar puzzle pieces could never fit together, no matter how much money she had. Amy's persistence made me miss my planned early departure from work. I hit the rush hour traffic, and by the time I got home, it was already 8. The food was still hot. Victoria dished out some rice and asked, "Why are you back so late today?" I sat at the table and sighed. "It's Amy." My tone was unmistakably impatient. She bombarded me with texts and even showed up at my office, acting like a madwoman. "Oh right. She is nuts," I said as Victoria set the table and handed me a warm towel. She always insisted on us having meals together. No matter what time it was, she waited for me to come home. "John," she gently suggested while handing me some lotus root, "should I start picking you up from work? That way you don't have to worry about her." I glanced at her in surprise. "I'm not worried. She hates you, not me." My words exposed my selfishness, but it was true. Amy wouldn't harm me. She only troubled Victoria. Honestly, I didn't care what happened between them, as long as they didn't bother me. I'd made it clear to Amy when I left. If anything like today happened again, I'd contact her mother. Just like before, she'd be sent abroad for so-called treatment. Sure, Amy has money, but against her mother, she stood no chance. All right, Victoria shook her head with a wry smile. Then I guess I need to work out more. She was always like this. A spacious, tidy house, hot meals, unconditional affection and patience. I took all she gave without thinking of giving back. "It's not like I asked you to," I always replied. To that, Victoria would just laugh. She'd pull me into her arms, letting her long hair spill into my hands. "Yeah, I chose to do this. I'm willing." Dinner ended. Victoria went back to the kitchen to finish cleaning up. Watching her, I felt an itch at the roots of my nails and teeth. Silently, I stood behind her. Instinctively, she sensed me. Washing her hands, she swept aside her smooth hair, exposing her beautiful back. I reached out and dragged my blunt nails across her skin. Pale skin became a canvas, and wherever my fingertips touched, it left shades of red. It looked beautiful. Victoria was focused on washing dishes, and I was focused on my drawings. In our little space, we didn't bother each other and did what we wanted to do. When she finally finished washing the dishes, I was already sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window, staring at the big round moon in a daze. Victoria came over and held out her arms. I told Amy to stop bothering me. Good news. She listened and didn't come to the office to find me. Bad news. She found my address and came over to see Victoria. That day, I skipped work to be lazy and worked from home. The moment I opened the door and saw Amy, I was speechless and even wanted to laugh a little. "I'm not here for you." Her face was tired from sleepless nights, yet she had a stubborn look in her eyes. "Let her come out, John. I can give her lots of money, if she'll leave you." "I'm afraid that's not possible." A familiar voice came from behind. I turned to see Victoria. She had somehow gotten to the entrance, smiling at Amy. "Long time no see, Amy. Everyone misses you." "Long time no see?" I glanced at Victoria, confused, then turned to look at Amy. But before I could say anything, Amy had already barged in. "Victoria, you witch." She moved so fast, it was like a blur. She brushed past me and was soon tussling with Victoria. Their eyes were full of hatred, and they really went at it. I watched from the side, anxious as could be. I wanted to break it up, but I valued my own safety too much and was afraid of getting caught in the crossfire, so I hesitated. I kept a nervous eye on my plants and my wall of collectibles, genuinely worried. Please don't touch my collectibles. Of course, the thing you fear always happens. Just as I thought it, they slammed into the wall with the collectibles. Victoria managed to inch away slightly, and I had just started to relax when Amy's hand managed to knock over my Sephiroth figure. It wobbled and then clattered to the floor, making a sharp, breaking sound. I stood frozen. The fight between them finally stopped. I slowly walked over to the scattered pieces, squatting down, picked up an intact wing. I was angry. Victoria wiped the blood from her mouth and walked over to me. "John, get out," I shouted at her. Amy, bruised and battered, looked at her and sneered, then walked toward me. "John, you get out too." I was so furious at the culprit that my voice cracked when I said it. As I looked at the shattered pieces of my collectible, I felt murderous and wanted them both gone immediately. I picked up a cheap $6 vase and threw it at them. "Get out." They stood there, frozen, but then they finally left. The room was quiet again. I carefully walked over to Sephiroth's pieces and crouched down, heartbroken, on the verge of tears. I'd waited nearly 2 years and spent $30,000 for this collectible. I'd only had it for a week, and suddenly it was ruined. Who could bear that? I couldn't help but curse. Sitting on the living room carpet, gluing it back together all afternoon, I still couldn't fix Sephiroth. Frustrated, I kicked the pieces aside. Hungry and annoyed, I picked up my phone, and the screen lit up with a message from Amy. "John, buy a new one." The next message was a bank notification of a $200,000 transfer. Now, what do I do with more problems? I took what I needed for a new collectible and sent back the rest, blocking her again. It isn't about being scared or feeling undeserving. Forget about the perfect victim narrative. I never liked that label. I just didn't want it. I used to think she had money, and it was worth putting up with her craziness for that. But now, even if she has money, I'm fed up. I don't want her money. In my world, a sense of order is more important than money. I despise anyone who disrupts my sense of order, and honestly, I think they all should just disappear. Amy knows nothing. She never has. I pulled myself up and opened the door, staring blankly at Victoria sitting by the door. "I'm hungry." Victoria stood up without hesitation, picking up the pile of shopping bags. "I'll start cooking right away." I don't know when she went to the store, but suddenly I wanted to challenge her a bit. I blocked her with my hand at the door. Victoria lowered her head to look at me. I looked her in the eye. "I want strawberries." Victoria pulled out a box of strawberries from a shopping bag. I pushed further. "I want cantaloupe." Victoria pulled out a box of cantaloupe. I kept going, listing fruit like crazy: grapes, oranges, dragon fruit, kiwi. The shopping bags seemed like magic pockets. Whatever I wanted, Victoria could pull it out. Frustrated, I let her through, ran back to the window, and stared off into space in my usual spot. Victoria put down the bags and went to the kitchen to cook. I absent-mindedly watched kids running around downstairs until I decided to go to the kitchen to see Victoria. I brought a little stool to stand behind her and started combing her long hair with my fingers. As she sliced veggies, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I'll buy you a new Sephiroth. Okay?" "No," I responded. "Why not?" she asked. "It won't be the same." Victoria hesitated while chopping, then softly said, "Okay." The aroma of food started to fill the air. Still holding Victoria's hair, I stared intently at the fish soup in the pot. Darkness brings fear, and hunger brings anxiety. These feelings were ugly, but as a kid, I learned to accept them. Learning not to wolf down food took me 20 years. Victoria started slicing cucumbers. Standing behind her, I secretly reached out my hand. She cut a piece and I ate a piece. After a while, the plate was still empty, but she seemed not to notice and continued cutting. "John," she suddenly called out to me calmly. "I'm sorry, I hid my relationship with Amy." "It's all good," I said nonchalantly, chewing on a cucumber. I don't care. Just like I don't care who's at Amy's or Victoria's place. I only look at what benefits me. The rest is irrelevant, so there's no point in hiding or lying, and I won't get angry about it. At heart, I'm someone who only looks out for my own interests. I know Victoria treats me well. She loves me. But to me, having something is great, not having it is fine too. Victoria loves me, that's nice. If she didn't, that would be okay too. I dismiss Victoria's love, and I know that's mean. But love was never a big deal for me. It's like if one day she leaves, I can still live well on my own, right? I know that. Victoria softly acknowledged and continued, but I have to tell you, my sister is Amy's stepmom, technically. She should call me aunt. I blinked in surprise. If I remember right, she once told me her sister married her first love. That was such a dramatic story. A simple mountain girl met a young painter who came to the mountains to paint. During the 3 months they spent together, she fell for the painter who was 8 years older. But in the end, she had to watch him leave silently because he only saw her as a child and had a fiancé arranged by his family. Later, to support her younger brother's studies, she took him and moved to the city for work. From day one, she got bullied and cheated until the painter suddenly appeared again, saving her like a brave knight. This happened 6 years after they parted. The painter had broken off his engagement, but now he had a little girl by his side. My sister's relationship and marriage with her father is both ethical and legal, but Amy can't accept it. She thought it was a betrayal of her mom, so she chose to live with her mother instead. I've met Amy's mother. Amy's like a wild dog. Her mom treated me like a leash around her neck, threatening me not to leave her. But she died 3 years ago. After she died, Amy's dad immediately got a psychologist involved and sent her abroad for treatment. He thought his daughter was seriously ill. Normal folks don't hold people captive. No wonder Victoria's sister saw him as a knight in shining armor. I kind of felt the same back then. Amy hysterically told me not to forget her, to wait for her return. But all I saw was her father, even if it was just his distant silhouette. I firmly believed Amy was crazy, all thanks to her mom's bad genes. Her mom was nuts too, nothing to do with her dad. So, Victoria, you knew all along, huh? I never hid my past, and Victoria never asked. She just naturally appeared in my life, like she belonged there. Victoria cleaned her hands and hugged me. Then I heard her sigh, John. I loved you even before you knew me, and when I met you, I started loving you. I often think I exist just to love you. The living room lights stayed on all night. The next day, a battered Sephiroth returned to its spot. Brushing my teeth, I stared at it for a while. While having breakfast, I suddenly remembered I promised to marry Victoria this week. Doesn't seem too bad. I took a sip of sweet soy milk and lowered my eyes. When does the registry office open? Victoria quietly went to the hallway, pulling a document folder from the cabinet. Through the transparent cover, you could see the household registration books and IDs. Isn't that interesting? When did she get that ready? Victoria saw the confusion in my eyes, laughed, and walked over with the folder, brushing off crumbs from my mouth. When you ask? She thought for a moment, probably the first time I saw you with a donut in hand. It looked like a ring. I swallowed the last bite of my sandwich and shot her a look of indifference. Forget it. After wiping my hands, I stood up. Let's go. I'm not going to work today. 30 minutes later, standing in front of the registry office, looking at the 2 marriage certificates in Victoria's hand, I thought, wow, that was quick. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a new, unfamiliar number. I didn't even need to guess. Amy, I'm just over it. She's been back for a few days and already caused so much drama. I was about to block the call, but Victoria stopped me. She looked at me seriously. We should clear this up. She answered Amy's call. Amy's cracked voice came through the receiver. John, how dare you marry her? Why is it Victoria? She and her sister are both trash. I won't let you marry her. Victoria listened in silence. When Amy finished, she spoke. Amy. Her voice was gentle. Don't speak to John like that. He's your elder. Show some respect. Amy flew into a rage, shouting curses. Annoyed, I grabbed the phone. Amy, I called her name coolly, my tone indifferent. What the hell do you want? Suddenly, Amy went quiet. A long pause. She choked up, John. Please, don't treat me like this. Holding the phone, my expression was calm. You know, Amy, I've said that before too. 8 years ago, when they cornered me in an alley and made me eat cigarette butts. Her breath hitched. I continued, didn't work then. Amy, saying that didn't help me, and it won't help you now. I hung up the phone after saying what I needed to, but I had more to do. I went through my contacts, typed up a long message, and sent it to Amy's dad. I told him Amy's condition was getting worse and that she should continue with her treatment. Honestly, I felt she should stay abroad forever and never come back. I didn't think he'd take Amy's side. After all, for someone as clear-headed as him, a daughter who can't empathize with her father is hard to love. And just as I expected, within 2 minutes I got a reply, okay, I understand. That's the best outcome for Amy. This wasn't about revenge. I simply believed that someone like her should stay in a mental institution. As for what happened back then, not a single person has apologized to me to this day. But it doesn't matter anymore. Those who bullied me then faced their own consequences. Those pursuing a higher degree were reported for academic misconduct. Those starting businesses were reported for tax evasion. Those entering politics were reported for corruption. Like a hidden snake, I had my ways of getting back and finding my own redemption. Yes, I've always been this vengeful, this petty. But thankfully, it's all behind me now. John. Victoria's voice pulled me back. I turned and saw her reaching out her hand. I lowered my gaze, took a deep breath, and placed my hand in hers. The first time I saw the girl was at a coffee shop a friend owned. She noticed him through the big window as he crouched down to feed stray cats. After feeding them, he took a bite of his donut without any expression. He seemed annoyed by the kittens, or so Victoria thought. But her friend mentioned he came by every day. It was a casual remark, yet after that day, she became a regular at the cafe. He already has a girlfriend, her friend informed her. So she chose to watch from afar without interruption. Until one day, she saw Amy, her supposed niece, with him. They argued about something, which ended with Amy storming off. Before leaving, Amy glared at him with a mix of anger and resentment. The next day, he didn't show up to feed the cats. It had happened before, but when he didn't come back the third day, Victoria reached out to Amy's dad. When they found him, he had been locked up for 2 days. In a thick stack of documents, Victoria finally learned his name, John, and his past. Why hurt him? She thought he deserved love and kindness. So why couldn't she be the one to love him? Victoria moved close to him. Over time, her love wrapped around his life like a tide. But she always felt like it was never enough. Eventually, Victoria visited the orphanage where he grew up. There, she saw his childhood dreams of happiness captured in a painting. With simple strokes, it showed a man with short hair and a gentle smile, standing in a clean, spacious room. A warm meal on the table next to him. In this picture, the child version of him delicately held the man's hand. His childish longing for a father was all tucked away in that drawing. Victoria observed the place he'd lived for 18 years. The large orphanage had only 3 staff members. In the crowded nursery, babies lay sleeping obediently on blankets, without needing anyone to soothe them. Watching this, Victoria found herself at a loss for words. A baby suddenly started crying. Reaching out to cradle it, she was firmly stopped. The caretaker, unable to hide her exhaustion, told her, "You can't hold them. If you hold them, they'll become attached." Attachment starts in infancy. In the oral phase, children deeply depend on those who meet their needs. Victoria's hand froze mid-air. Giving and then taking back, how cruel. By the time they were 3 months old, they stopped crying. Never deeply loved when he needed it most, no amount of affection later on seemed significant to him. She claimed he didn't need love. But, did he really not need love? Victoria looked at the banana tree outside, its heavy green leaves pressing against the window, making it hard to breathe. Was that how he grew up? Without love, without connections? Her John was truly remarkable. Realizing this, Victoria glanced at the figure by the window, gazing at the moon. He looked like he needed a tight hug and lots of love, but that's okay. After all, she was here to love him. Walking over, Victoria opened her arms gently toward him.